is Chad Baumgartner, and thank you so much for joining me in another edition of A Leadership Moment. Today I want to talk about your sphere of influence. Now I know a lot of you are like, what is a sphere of influence? We'll get to that in just a second. But you know as well as I do, as far as leadership is concerned, every day as leaders, our job is to inspire, encourage, and empower our team and our staff every day. And it's not an easy job. Some days we don't feel like it. Some days we kind of miss the mark here. And some days we're kind of way off track. I happen to believe that leaders don't have bad days. Now you may not believe me, or you may not have the same feelings on this. And I understand. I actually wrote a blog about it, and you can check it out on my website. I kind of go into more detail about that. But I feel like as leaders, if you feel like you're kind of missing the mark that day, or if you're kind of off, you need to get the heck out of Dodge, recharge the batteries, and do some reflection, and come back and lead the team the way you're supposed to. Because that's what we were called to do. That's what leaders do. We encourage and we inspire. And we cheer on our team. And we give them everything that they need to be successful. Now, with the sphere of influence, that is very critical to how a person leads. Now, with the sphere of influence, there are a host of factors that encompass that sphere. Most of them are known, some are unknown. For example, you have your spouse, children, extended family members somewhat, your community, your neighborhood, your city, all the way to the news that you watch on TV, when you're surfing the net, or when you're listening to the radio. Even conversations that you have with your spouse or your colleagues or friends about a multitude of topics that are going on in the world today, down to the books that you read. All of these factors and many, many more have an impact on how you lead. And it's very important to check your sphere of influence constantly to make sure that the things that are in your sphere are what you need to be successful as a leader. Now, obviously, you can't control every single thing that's in your sphere, but you can control how you respond to some of that stuff, if not all of it. Here's an example I'd like to set out for you. Let's say, for instance, I go into work today or the past couple of days, and I've been kind of barking at the team. I've been kind of crass with them. I'm kind of irritated and agitated. I'm not really happy or impressed with how progress is going, and with my admin, I'm kind of short with them. I'm kind of standoffish, and I'm not really giving them my complete focus and attention on what they're giving me, on the data that they're giving me. It's always good to have 1 to 2, maybe 3 people in your inner circle that you truly trust, that should be able to come to you and say, Chad, look man, the past couple of days, you've been kind of rough. You've been very rude to your admin staff and the team. You haven't been leading effectively as usual. You've been very crass. You've been very irritated with them. You've been barking at them, and that's just not you. And we can't continue to move forward in this type of leadership because it's not effective. You see, that right there is your green light. That is your green light to take that information, reflect upon it, go somewhere in solitude, and figure out what in your sphere of influence is consciously or subconsciously causing you to act this way that is not in your characteristics of leadership. It could be a host of things. Maybe you had an argument with your spouse or your loved one. Maybe it's one of your teenagers being rebellious. It could also be a conversation that you have with a friend or colleague. Maybe it's something they said that kind of didn't sit well with you. Maybe it rubbed you the wrong way. You thought you brushed it off, but in essence you didn't. So see, these are the things that we need to take back and reflect upon on ourselves in our own time and figure out what's going on. Because we need to be able to get back on that horse and lead that team effectively. Because again, our job as leaders, we encourage, we inspire. That's what we do. The team needs that. That's why you're the leader. That's why you're there. And if you can't do that effectively, you got to figure out what's causing you not to be able to do that and fix it. Now, a lot of things you'll probably be able to fix in your sphere of influence. There will be some things that you can't fix. But again, you can always control how you respond to the situations and circumstances within your sphere of influence. So again, leaders, as you go through your day, my message to you is constantly check your sphere of influence and make sure as best you can that the things in your sphere are helping you to become an even better and more effective and efficient leader. Anytime there's something a little awry, check it, reflect on it, figure out what the root of the issue is, and do your best to resolve it. Because your team needs you. And as leaders, we can't take days off. We don't have bad days. We can't. Thank you so much for joining, and I'd love to have your feedback on this segment. You can catch me on YouTube. You can respond on the YouTube page. You can also go to my webpage at www.chadbumgarner.co, and you can also get me on Twitter at Chad_Bumgarner. The information will be at the bottom of your screen. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always, great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?